The Google Educator Bootcamp is a 13-week comprehensive series that will prepare educators to complete the Google for Education Level 1 or 2 certification. This series provides teachers with professional development on their own time to complete tasks that are built around showcasing their proficiency and understanding of the Google Workspace for Education tools. For more information on the Google Educator Bootcamp, visit forward-edge.teachable.com and begin earning your Google certification.
Aloha, I'm Katie Ritter.
And I'm Justin Thomas, and this is the Restart Recharge podcast, a podcast by coaches for coaches. We bring the tips and tricks to help you in your everyday work as an instructional coach or whatever they call you at your school.
So hopefully you're going to leave this episode with us today feeling just a little bit less on your own coaching island.
And we have reached the end of season 2, and that means that this is our 40th episode. So to close out the season here around this Thanksgiving break, Katie and I decided we're going to talk a little bit about some of our favorite tips and tricks from previous episodes over the last 2 seasons. So we've had a lot of great topics and fantastic people on, but just in case there was something mentioned before that maybe you forgot about or you missed an episode, we thought we'd bring it back to the light so that you can use it throughout the rest of the school year.
I can't believe we've had 40 episodes, Justin. That's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. It's been a lot of fun. And
we've learned a lot about different sound systems.
we have learned a lot about different sound systems, and obviously we are now going to just be chatting with ourselves. We were talking about how this is kind of weird. There's no one else here, and there's not like a Zoom call we have to set up or something like that. So
I know it hasn't been just the two of us since the very first episode.
Since the very first. So we're gonna kick it off with 1 and 40.
I know. And for those listeners, this should be a super quick episode just to kind of rejuvenate you, earmark some episodes that you want to get back to when you get back from some time off with friends and family. But I don't know if we've ever really talked about it on the podcast before, where the podcast came from, but our team of instructional coaches here at Forward Edge, we were feeling some of the burnout and the stress throughout the pandemic and trying to do everything we possibly could supporting our teachers. And we really kind of needed a creative, fun outlet. And we, felt like we had a lot of great knowledge on the team. We knew we could find some other great coaches out there beyond our team to share their wisdom and knowledge. And so we wanted a way to kind of start helping support other instructional coaches out there. And while kind of at the same time having a creative outlet for ourselves. And here we are 2 years, 40 episodes later, and it's growing strong, and we love hearing the things that you like about the episodes. We love connecting with some of you and seeing you at conferences. So it's really just become like a really fun, awesome way to connect differently with coaches all over.
It really has. And like you said, I mean, we want to make sure you feel a little less on our coaching islands, especially because some of us out there are, kind of on our own. We have the ability here that we're on a team, so that's always kind of nice, but happy to always reach out and talk with other people there. So obviously we've had some good episodes in the past, so I thought we would just go ahead and talk about some of them.
I think we've had at least 40 good episodes.
At least 40 good episodes, because we already know this one's going to be awesome. So we don't even have to worry about getting it done first to talk about it. But this is a topic that comes up, I think, a lot. The fact of how do you kind of track your interactions? How are you tracking your data in which you are working with the educators and making that impact? And this one that we had, actually, someone that you knew was able to bring on, I think was a really good one to kind of figure out a way to do just that.
Yeah, Susanna Summers was in our first season, episode 14, collecting data as a coach. And she is the founder of Connect Hub, which is transparently what our team uses. But that episode, Justin's right. I mean, it's something that, we talk about all of the time. And we also get questions and see other coach communities talking about this. Coaches are always asking, how are you tracking your time? How are you showing your impact? How are you keeping track of it for yourself to know where you're spinning your wheels? And I was really excited that we were able to bring Susanna on, because that was something that it took a few years for our team to ultimately, come to and find her solution that she had developed.
Yeah.
And we went through a lot of pain points and struggles. So that episode was fun to get to share something that, we believe in wholeheartedly, and how it helps impact our work. And hopefully we saved some folks a little bit of pain by learning from our mistakes through that episode.
And she is like a data guru, like a genius. I mean, I don't even know how you can even come up with that concept and then actually implement it into something like ConnectHub. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things from that episode, one of my favorite things that came from that was her whole concept about not only do you have to collect the data, no matter what you use, like your own platform, a different thing, doesn't even have to be ConnectHub, but regardless of coaches, we need to be collecting the data. We need to be able to understand the data. But the piece that I think we forget about sometimes is like telling that story with the data.
Yeah.
So I liked how she kind of painted that picture in that episode about the importance of actually sharing that data and being able to tell kind of the story that's going on with it, from the people to the environment to the impact to, next steps. So I think that was great. So definitely go give that one a listen. 114, collecting data as a coach, for tons of tips there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the episode number there, because that was something I realized as you were talking, like, oh, we got to make sure we actually tell these folks what episode it is so they're able to go find it. But keeping right in track with that was episode 114, which, by the way, she's also she's got, what is The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, one of those two that she's got like a whole, I mean, that's
Yeah, she does both. She has a whole social media account, Bachelor Data. So she's big and famous now with her data.
With her data, yeah. Most people wouldn't go that route, but she's gone it with it, and she's been awesome with it. But keeping in track with that being one episode, or episode 114, we started a little bit of a mini series following that one. And it was episodes 115, 116, 117, and 118, in which we talked a lot about coaching cycles, and we had Tyler Irwin with us for all four of those episodes. But we had some other people rotating in, including Emily Cowan, Anna Marie Reinhart, and Tracy Keogh, and Brooke Conklin, just talking about coaching cycles overall and how you get it started to actually co-teaching, co-planning, and then having the reflection period, and then celebrating what that teacher has done. And I thought that was a really good series, because it's kind of hard sometimes, especially if you're new into a district, to kind of, how do I get this off and going? And even if you've been there for a while and you haven't done something like that, how do I get this started now here in the middle of the midpoint?
Yeah, and kind of some background of where that, kind of inspiration came from our team. And that's something that, personally, having done this for 10 years coaching now, I am working with a number of different school administrators across a lot of districts, trying to get coaching cycles off the ground from both myself in the early days, from some of our other coaches, when they would start in a district. It was something that was really hard to convince district admin to implement coaching cycles, because it does take up so much of the coach's time for a far fewer number of teachers that you can support when you're dedicating and you're getting that deep. So from their perspective, like resource management, it didn't seem to make as much sense, because the coach wasn't supporting as many teachers. But from our standpoint, I mean, we just saw time and time again just the actual transformation that would take place, not only in that individual teacher, but obviously the learning experience for their students was dramatically changed. And oftentimes we would see that ripple out by that teacher like sharing their experiences with other teachers that would then, start to work with us too. So we've always been pushing really hard and believe very deeply here at Forward Edge that coaching cycles are the way to true transformation, but it can be hard to convince your admin. And then once you convince them and you've never done them before, you're like, what the heck am I doing? So anyway, that series I think was awesome. If you've, whether you've already done coaching cycles or you're trying to get them started, go back and listen to that coaching cycle series from season 1. There's just so many beautiful beautiful gold nuggets that our team shares with you
Yes.
from again, learn from our mistakes. So go back to that one.
Exactly. Especially with, obviously you're kind of winding down into, usually this is the second semester. And then once you come back from kind of the holiday break, then it turns into third semester. And that might be, the second semester. I'm trying to add semesters in school year. We're talking about quarters, talking about semesters here. So you come back into that spring semester might be a good idea to try and kind of start implementing some of those there. To kind of wrap up season 1 and some of the episodes that we highlighted here, but the very last one, it was episode 120 to be exact, and that was telling your story, taking control of the narrative. We had Ryan McLean, who is co-author of the book Your School Rocks, So Tell People. We also had Michael Rausch on with us, and Michael is a master storyteller in himself, and I thought this was a really good episode talking about how do you get all of that amazing things that you are doing in your school out there for people to see. And Ryan did a really good job with talking about how, he was just making sure that the community knew what was happening in the school, what everyone else in the school district was, and even propelling that out through across the state and across the nation. And it's just so important that, there's amazing things that are happening at everyone's school. I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't know that. And it's just trying to find those ways to really tell your narrative, because they both made the point that if you're not going to tell your story, either no one else is going to tell it or someone else is going to tell it not in a very good way.
Yeah. And what I loved about that too, is I really liked having Ryan a part of that series, because he was serving as, he was a principal for a number of years. He was an assistant superintendent at the time that we had him on that episode, and he's now currently serving as a superintendent. So I think that that's a great episode to maybe share out. A lot of our coaches are sometimes more willing to at least help share the teacher and the school story, even if you're not, you're a little too humble to share your own story. You're at least sometimes maybe more willing to help share the story of others. But I think having that admin perspective on that episode might really help. So share that episode out with some of your principals or your district admin teams. It's a easy listen. Those two guys are really fun guys, very down to earth and relatable, but can really help you kind of propel and share that message about sharing your story for other people who may need to hear it.
Absolutely. So that that was the season finale for season 1. As we mentioned, we're in season 2 finale now. But starting back with season 2, we had an episode. It was episode 203, the FETC recap. And really, this one was just kind of a recap of what all we saw at the Future of Education Technology Conference that was down in Orlando, Florida. It was myself, Michael Rausch, Megan Whitaker. You were down there as well, but you were doing some other things. But we just kind of overall talked about what all was happening kind of at the conference, and really I think it was just kind of a fun episode. There wasn't too many crazy things, just talking about presenting at conferences, talking about attending conferences, how do you select sessions, how do you get the most out of going to a conference. But I felt like it was a really good episode just to kind of combine all of these things, because especially with this episode airing, we have several conferences that are going to be coming up, FETC, TCEA, OETC, McCall, all coming up in kind of that spring, and that's just the ones around here that we are attending. There's obviously tons of conferences that are happening all the time, but just one that I thought was kind of a fun, lighthearted one, and talking about presenting at a conference, attending sessions, like what do you do, especially a large conference like that? Like, how do you figure out where you're supposed to go, and just also networking with so many of the different people that you might have had some of these Twitter interactions with. Yeah.
And I think that's a great point, with conference season, right, really kind of already starting. Yeah, I know, right? So this episode will be airing kind of right in the middle of the madness. But a good time to kind of help you make the most. It's a very big financial investment. Either you're spending on yourself or your district is spending to send you. So really making sure that you're getting the most out of it. So that episode will certainly help you with those tips. But I also loved the the story about the bus driver, and I think it was Dr. J, right?
Yes, it was Dr. J.
I'm not going to give it away what it is, but you got to go back and listen for just like the most heartfelt. I think I probably cried in that episode when they told the story. That'd be interesting to know how many episodes do I get weepy-eyed in.
We'll have to go back. The good news is that we only had video for like the first couple. So
yeah. Well, going into this conference season, I do just want to give a little plug. Be on the lookout for our team Forward Edge. We are doing the Traveling Google for Education Adaptive Learning Lab. So that is coming to a number of conferences around the country. We hosted that and put that on at ISTE this past summer in New Orleans. And now we're traveling around to a number of conferences. So if you are at a conference and you see the Google for Education Adaptive Learning Lab on the agenda, please sign up and join us. And that's our team leading it. So we'll hope to see you there. So just had to give that little plug since we were talking about conferences, with conference season right around the corner.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to check that out because that was a lot of fun putting that on. But it also, you could see how many people that came through that also just had kind of those light bulbs going off with all the amazing features that Google had in that. So definitely check that out because it's a lot of amazing, cool Google for Education features in there too. We also talked about in episodes 204 and 205 the importance of the admin and coach relationship. We talked with Tyler Irwin a little bit about that in 204, but then 205 we actually had one of the coaches that we've kind of worked with in some different facets, Andrea Caravellano, and she also was on with one of her administrators in Ryan Stanger in an area school down here in Southwest Ohio, and they were just talking about that importance between the coach and admin relationship there. So it's cool because, you know, every single one of our schools that we're in, that's a huge aspect, is having that admin coach relationship, and it was cool to kind of had another outside perspective as well. I mean, that's such a vital importance and to really your success in coaching.
Heck yeah. And that is like speaking to my coaching heart. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've done it myself in a number of districts, and then watching our team of, 17 plus coaches serve a number of districts in various cities, working with other coaches across the country. And I, at this point in my career, have become just such a firm believer that a coach can either find success by leaps and bounds, or they can just run into wall after wall after wall, preventing their success if that in particular building leader does not understand that coach's role, does not understand how they can be utilized most effectively, especially our instructional technology coaches, since that is kind of such a newer role within the coaching world, and the tech confuses people. But instructional coaches in general, that admin coach relationship, if you've listened to any of our episodes before, you know that's my soapbox. But spend the time in making that a good relationship. Spend the time in clarifying your role with those admin. And if you're hitting roadblocks, keep trying, because it will really pay off. And those 2 episodes give a ton of great ideas. Andrea and Ryan have like the most dream coach admin coach principal relationship of all time. But that's just truly so important to help contribute or hinder to a coach's success. So just can't stress that enough. And that was a really great little mini series there to help support that work.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a moment's pause for our sponsors.
Calling all instructional coaches. Join Forward Edge for Coaches Camp in summer of 2023. Coaches Camp is packed with high-quality professional development exclusively for you. Attendees will work with like-minded coaches on creating strategies for building teacher relationships, executing coaching cycles, and building a culture of coaching and tech integration within their school district. There are 2 opportunities to attend Coaches Camp in the summer of 2023. You can either join us virtually June 12th through the 14th, or come visit Cincinnati on July 27th and 28th. Please visit forward-edge.net/coachcamp to reserve your spot today.
Calling all instructional technology coaches, Forward Edge has launched a new hub for coaches to find strategies and resources to use for their coaching. The EDU Coach Network provides a place for instructional coaches to come together for coach-specific professional development, building a community, and finding mentorship moving through the school year. The network provides a place to casually seek resources or join in with book clubs, Twitter chats, webinars, and workshops, along with much more. Join the EDU Coach Network by going to educoachnetwork.com and join the coach community today. All right, welcome back. We're talking about a lot of the episodes from our previous 2 seasons here, since we are in the season 2 finale. Some of the ones to kind of go back and check mark and highlight and re-listen to for some really good ideas. And one that I think is a really good one, you actually just heard it in the sponsor break, but episode 213, the EDU Coach Network, and that's with Brooke Conklin. And I really think that is such a vital resource for coaches out there, because you can listen to us, but obviously we're not on 24/7, just constantly out there in the Twitterverse and things like that. But the EDU Coach Network is, so definitely one. Talking with Brooke about it, just the amazing features that you have at your disposal, a community board, also webinars and workshops and things like that. And Brooke is very talented. She's got a lot of really cool ideas to help really ring in all the coaches so you're not just out there on your own.
Yes, and that has also been something incredibly near and dear to my heart. I mean, it's the whole intro of this episode, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying to help coaches not feel like they are so much on their own island. Yeah. And over the past 10 years, that's all I hear over and over is coaches have been plucked out of the classroom because they were really great at math or really great at teaching literacy, or they're really techie teacher. Then they're stuck in this role of a coach. They get no training, and they're the only one in their building or district. And so that is a really scary place to be. My doctoral research focused all on this topic, and networking is really the best form of professional development for a position like instructional coaches. It's just so important. So I love our EDU Coach Network. It has already helped coaches really all over the world already. And so that's been an exciting thing to see thriving. And we're, not even 6 full months into it being launched. So really excited about the future of that. If you're not a part of that community, definitely go back and listen to that episode 213.
Absolutely. And even speaking about Brooke and FETC from earlier, so this is actually a session that Brooke attended at FETC and was like, whoa, this is awesome. We have to get this guy on the podcast, right? And that gentleman is Ben Songrath, and he had an amazing session about coaching across the generations. And it was just really eye-opening. I mean, even when we were talking with him, we're like, whoa, that we never really thought about things like this. But him being a former history teacher, I do believe that, that holds dear to us as well. But the fact is that he was looking at coaching with different educators from different generations, and you can't just treat everyone the same. So he was kind of talking about how you have to look at kind of the background for each of those generations to really be able to actually coach them in a way that is actually going to help them grow in success.
Yeah, and that was one of the episodes in a conversation that I had that really truly made me think differently about things that I do and say and how I've approached things in the past and how I can approach them moving forward. So definitely, especially if you've been coaching for a while and you're looking for something that's not just an echo chamber of kind of the same ideas over and over, definitely go back and listen to that episode 207 with Ben Songrath, Coaching Across the Generations.
Absolutely. And we have, there's been so many great episodes, right? But a couple that we do want to just mention briefly, and then you can go out and listen to them too. The one that we just had, 219, talking with Emily Cowan and Anna Marie Reinhardt about creating spaces, because not everyone's got the time to just sit down and have a PD session, but there's other ways that you can actually really facilitate and use the entire school district or school building, I should say.
Yeah, and we know a lot of coaches are struggling with that right now, finding the time for PD with their teachers when teachers are feeling a little bit initiative overload.
Oh, yeah. And then a couple other episodes, 208, Imparting Joy with Jill Du Bois and Anna Marie Reinhardt, just talking about how you can utilize little facets of joy and bring that out to the educators just to keep things, in a good mood and a positive light. And then also 210 and 216, we had John Smith on from Book Creator, sitting down with Lisa Kuhn and us, talking about different ways that coaches can use Book Creator in coaching cycles with educators, and just how amazing of a tool that is. But also too, we had Tisha Richmond and Jill Du Bois on for talking about Canva and how coaches can use that along with educators as well.
Yeah, and shout out, Brooke also just did a webinar with John Smith.
That's right.
So if you haven't seen that on Book Creators webinar series, go look that up. The recording is available with lots of great ideas, kind of building even beyond the episode with Lisa and John, specifically about how you might use Book Creator for coaching cycles.
Well, obviously this is the 40th episode, so there's plenty of awesome episodes out there. These are just a couple of the highlight ones that we thought we'd talk about and mention some of the fun ones that we've been able to do. But
Justin, I'm feeling a little strange. We don't have top 3 tips.
We don't have top 3 tips. Should we do top 3 tips
for starting a podcast and getting through the first 40 episodes?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. I'll drop one out. Okay, so a top 3 tip here. The first tip is, I think, to just have fun with it. I think that we do a pretty good job of that. I think in terms of,
I'm generally having fun whatever I'm doing.
Well, yes, but we don't take ourselves. I mean, we take this very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. And if we mess up, we just pause, we go back, and we edit and things like that. And obviously you've heard the bloopers at the end of these episodes, so clearly we're okay with having ourselves just kind of those moments where like, what did we just do? Those are on a lot of those episodes too.
Yeah, I think my tip would be get over listening to your own voice. Hearing that play back. It's like my nightmare in every episode I listen to, and I have a new complex about something I say or do or how I'm saying certain words and sounds I'm making. But I think you just gotta get over it, and it stands to like try to be better and get rid of the ums and the pause placeholders, but definitely, if you're looking into getting into something creative like this or starting it for yourself or with your teachers, definitely just get over that, because you're focusing way more on it than anyone else is.
Oh, yeah. And we need a third, don't we?
We do.
How about, you got one?
No.
Okay. Then, all right. Well,
I mean, I have a lot. I don't know how to narrow it down. I think I would say it has taken a village to pull it off.
Yeah.
You hear Justin and I on every episode as the hosts. Justin really owns right now planning the episodes and everything, but we have restructured how we've done that on our team. We have a number of our coaches who serve on our social media team to divide and conquer that work. Prior to Justin kind of planning and mapping out the episodes, we had another team of coaches who did that. From a content perspective, we had and still have, it's smaller now, but a team of coaches who do the editing, and then not to mention just all of our coaches who are willing to like give up extra time to come be guests, so you're getting a lot more perspective than just hearing from Justin and I. So not everyone has the luxury of having a team, but I think definitely I don't know how it would be very difficult, I feel like, to pull something like this off alone. So having a team, regardless of how small or big, a full, can't say thank you enough to our team who has made this happen week after week.
Absolutely. Shout out to all of them, because they really do help keep this thing moving in a positive direction. So
absolutely.
Look at that. We got top 3 tips just off the cusp there.
There we go.
All right.
I'm excited for some of our guest lineup for next season, Justin.
Yeah, we got a really good one to kick off the premiere of season 3. We're going to have author Jimmy Casas on to talk about his new book, Recalibrate the Culture. So get excited for season 3. But as always, you can listen to any of the previous episodes that we've discussed here today or the others that are out there. They're always out there waiting for you to just drop in and get a listen. But definitely excited for the start of season 3 with having Jimmy Casas on.
Yeah, and we are going to take a little bit of a break throughout the holidays here and through the end of the new year, but that season 3 episode will air in January. So get all caught up on all these good episodes we've highlighted for you today, and then we'll be back with brand new episodes in January. And in the meantime, be sure to subscribe to Restart Recharge wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at RRCoachCast.
And feel free to reach out to us on any of those social media platforms, because we are planning for what season 3 looks like. So if there's something on your mind, please let us know and we can make an episode on it.
Yes, so press the restart button.
Recharge your coaching batteries and leave feeling equipped and inspired to coach fearlessly with the Restart Recharge podcast.
A Tech Coach Collective. It's just me and Justin. I feel like an empty nester. Nobody else with us in the recording room.
Oh, this is weird.
Okay, well, I guess I'm getting started, aren't I? I kick it off, don't I?
You do kick it off.
I'm totally
Usually
confused.
you kick it off
without anyone else here.